I have a question for you. Are you actually living or just enduring life until the next chance to escape it? Hi, today in this video, I will talk about how to build a life so good you don't need to escape. Be honest, do you wake up on Monday already counting the hours until Friday? Do you fantasize about your next vacation while scrolling numbly through social media during your lunch break? Do you need alcohol, endless Netflix episodes, or a weekend of distraction just to tolerate the weight of your daily existence? If your strategy for life is to survive 5 days just to feel alive for two, if you live in constant anticipation of temporary relief, you are not living, you are surviving. Worse, you are escaping. But escaping from what? Maybe it's the job that drains your soul, the obligations you never questioned, the lifestyle you have built based on what others told you success should look like. You chase promotions, buy things you don't need, attention social gatherings out of obligation, and tell yourself this is normal. This is adulthood, that everyone feels this way. But what if I told you that it's a lie? Henry David once wrote, the mass of men led lives of quiet desperation, and it's still true, maybe no more than ever. The desperation is no longer loud. It is silent, polished, hidden behind curated Instagram stories, workaholism, weekend plans, and the endless need to treat yourself. You have built a life that requires constant escape because it was never built to nourish you in the first place. It was built to impress, conform, to maintain an identity handed down to you by society. You don't need better escapes, you need a better life. And no, that doesn't mean running off into the woods to live in a cabin, though that's what the writer did for a time. It means waking up, it means rebuilding your existence from the ground up, not based on what's expected of you, but based on who you really are. This video is not here to give you productivity hacks. It's not about optimizing your 9 to 5 or finding the best meditation app. This is about burning the blueprint you were handed and designing your life deliberately with intention, with courage, and with honesty. Because once you build a life aligned with your true self, you no longer need to escape from it. You actually want to be in it. So before we move on, I will ask you again, are you living a life that sustains you or a life that you have to constantly escape just to survive? If you are ready to face the truth, then let's start. From the moment we enter the world, the script is handed to us. Go to school, get good grades, land a respectable job, buy a house, get married, raise children, work until retirement. And then finally, maybe you will have time to live. That's the myth. That is the cage, and most people never question it. They chase the milestones like ticking boxes on a checklist, believing that if they follow the formula, happiness will flow. But what happens when you reach the end of the checklist and still feel hollow inside? A life so consumed by duty, routine, and unexamined ambition that the soul never gets a chance to sink. That's not success, that is spiritual suffocation. Society tells you success is external, it's about acquisition, what you own. So, how you appear, the image you project. But real fulfillment is not found in accumulation. It is found in alignment. And the tragic irony is this: the more you chase what society calls success, the more disconnected you often become from yourself. How many people do you know who have the perfect life on paper yet are exhausted, anxious, and addicted to distractions? How many high achievers quietly admit, I thought having all this would make me happy, but it did not? You have been conditioned to believe that life is a ladder you must climb, but no one tells you that what is at the top. You sacrifice your health, your joy, your creativity, your relationship just to reach a destination that might not even exist. And worst of all, even the emptiness sets in, you blame yourself. You think you are broken because you are not happy with what others told you should fulfill you. But you are not broken. The model is you were never meant to live by someone else's definition of success. So the real question is, what is it that you actually want? Now, not what your parents wanted, not what your friends admire, not what society celebrates, but what ignites something real inside you. Because until you start living according to that, you will always feel the need to escape. And that brings us to the next layer of truth. The reason why the urge to escape feels so constant is because the very foundation of your life was never truly yours to begin with. Careers that don't inspire you, relationship that drain you, obligation that suffocate you, and then you wonder why you feel exhausted, anxious and desperate for relief. Most people are living a second hand existence. They never paused long enough to ask, do I actually want this? Instead, they adopted the standard blueprint: go to college, get a job, climb the ladder, settle down. But the blueprint was never designed with you in mind. It was designed to produce obedient workers, predictable citizens, compliant consumers, not fulfilled human beings. You have confused means with ends. You work to make money, to buy things, to feel comfort, to maybe one day live the life you actually want. But that one day never comes. Every new possession, every new commitment, every new necessity adds complexity. You convince yourself you need the bigger house, the newest phone, the upgraded car. But with each upgrade, the cost increases, not just in money, but in freedom as well. You work longer hours to pay for the lifestyle that chains you to the very job you hate. That's not progress. That is more expensive gauge. You are starving for primary experiences. Your life is mediated. Everything is filtered through screens, brands, algorithms. When was the last time you felt the dirt under your feet, heard silence without music, created something with your hands just for the sake of it? The writer lived by a lake not to escape life, but to return to it. He said, I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, he wrote. You don't need another self help book to convince you to keep pushing through a system that is slowly killing you. You were never meant to live like this. Most people think the solution to their stress is addition. Add a new habit, add a better planner, add another course on productivity, add meditation, a side hustle, a new supplement, a new strategy. But what if the real solution is not addition? It is subtraction. Complexity is a trap. Every layer of complexity you add into your life, every unnecessary obligation, Every new subscription, every commitment rooted in fear or image tightens the noose. You don't feel tired because you are weak. You feel tired because your life is bloated with things that don't belong to you. This is about looking at every part of your life and asking one brutal question. Does this give me life or take it from me? Start with your obligations, your job, your house, your schedule, your inbox, your social life. For each ask, if I remove this, what would I actually lose? Am I keeping this out of fear, guilt, or social expectation? What would I do with the energy I get back if this was gone? Imagine reducing your house's housing cost by living in a smaller space, not because you are settling, but because you are liberating your time and attention. Imagine canceling 80% of your social commitments and only saying yes to the 20% that nourish you. Imagine eliminating every digital service you don't actively use and watching your mental clutter vanish with it. Because here is the hidden truth: every single thing you own, manage, or maintain is a silent contract. It demands your time, energy, attention, and money. And most of those contracts were signed unconsciously. You stop building a life around compensation and start building it around intention. And suddenly, a strange thing happens. The urge to escape being begins to disappear. You move through the day with space around your thoughts. You don't feel like you are being pulled in 100 directions. You are actually here, fully, finally, but simplifying alone is not enough. Once you have stripped away the excess, you are left with a new question, maybe the most important one. What do I do with the life I have reclaimed? That brings us to the next step. Here is the uncomfortable truth: most people are selling the most precious currency they have, their life energy, for things they don't even believe in. You wake up, drag yourself out of bed, sit in traffic, or log onto Zoom with dead eyes, and then spend 8, 10, sometimes 16 or 18 hours doing something that feels meaningless. And for what? A paycheck? A status? Title? A sense of security that never really arrives. Let's be honest. If your job requires you to deaden your soul 5 days a week just so you can live a little on the weekend, then what you are doing is not work, it is spiritual attrition. The longer you do it, the more of yourself you lose. Every hour you work is an hour of your finite life. Once it is spent, it never comes back. Most people never calculate the true cost of their lifestyle. They only look at the price tag on objects, not the price tags on their time. So let's do it differently. Let's look at life as the ultimate currency. Ask yourself, how many hours of your life do you sell each month just to sustain the lifestyle you have built? Not to thrive, not to grow, just to stay afloat. You earn a salary, but subtract the hours spent commuting, decompressing from stress, distracting yourself to tolerate it all. Then subtract the time you lose recovering emotionally. What is left? What is your actual hourly life rate? And once you know that, look around. Every item you buy, every luxury you indulge in, ask, how many hours of my life did this cost me? Was it worth it? That's how you should live. What would you do if you didn't have to prove anything to anyone? Would you still be in the same job? Would you work the same hours? Would you even stay in the same industry? If your job is draining you, it's not just about switching careers, it's about shifting orientation. You don't need to leap into some fantasy vocation. Start by recalibrating. So let's change the question. Don't ask, how much can I earn? Ask, how much do I actually need to live well? Don't ask, what job will give me the most money? Ask, what work is worth my life? And when you align with your work, with your values, everything shifts. You are no longer escaping from your life. Because once you reclaim your time and align with your efforts, the next step is to fill that named space with something nourishing, something real, something human. If what you are hearing is resonating with you, keep listening. You have started aligning your work with what actually matters to you. But now what? This is where most people get lost. They remove the noise and are left with silence, and silence can be terrifying for them. Why? Because we have forgotten how to be, not perform, not produce, not distract ourselves, just be human. You see, one of the greatest tragedies of modern life is that we have become strangers to the very experiences that once defined our humanity. We have replaced reality with simulation, connection, and convenience, creation with consumption, presence with performance. The writer went to retreat to the woods because he hated people or wanted to live like a hermit. He went because he understood that life, real life, was being lost in the chaos of society. He craved what he called essential facts, the raw, unmeditated experience that nourished the human spirit at its core. And if you are honest, you have felt this loss too. You scroll through nature photos instead of walking through the forest. You text instead of having a real conversation. You buy food wrapped in plastic, microwaved and processed instead of cooking a simple meal with your hands. You spend more time watching the other people live than living yourself. And then you wonder why you feel numb, why you feel like something is missing. Because it is missing. What you are missing is realness, contact, earth, movement, silence, creation, slowness, attention. These are not luxuries, they are biological and psychological necessities. When denied these primary experiences, the human psyche begins to erode, slowly, silently, and often without awareness. So, how do you reclaim them? Start small but deliberately. Every day, carve out time for one unmeditated experience. Step outside, no podcast, no phone, just observe. Let your senses reawaken. Smell the air. Watch the way light moves across the ground. Let boredom surface and pass without feeling it. This is not a spiritual exercise, it's a biological reset. Create something with your hands, anything. Cook a real meal, plant something, fix something, write, draw, paint, build. Your brain is wired for creation, not just consumption. Every act of creation is helpful. It reminds you that you are not just a passive observer, you are the participant. And then, most importantly, get comfortable with silence. Not silence as in absence of sound, but silence as in absence of distraction. Let your own thoughts rise without panic. Let your internal work speak again. You have buried it under years of noise and it's dying to be heard. You will be amazed how quickly the compulsive need for digital escape starts to fade. You will realize the anxiety was not random. It was withdrawal from real life. You were not overstimulated because of too much information. You were starving for depth. And when you feed that hunger with real primary experiences, your nervous system remembers, your spirit remembers. Reconnecting with the basics of being human is not regression, it is revolution. But there is still one final trap most people fail into. Even after simplifying, even after reconnecting with what matters, it is the most powerful and invisible force keeping you trapped in a life you don't want. The pressure to conform. Even when your soul is screaming for freedom, there is a voice in the back of your head whispering, what will people think? And that's exactly what we will confront next. Let's stop pretending. You can do everything right. Simplify your life, reconnect with nature, align your work with your values, and still feel an invisible pressure weighing on your chest. That pressure, it's not coming from your job, your schedule, or even from your responsibility. It's coming from them. The silent expectations of others, the social script, the unspoken rules etched into your psyche since childhood. Be normal, be productive, be responsible, be impressive. Don't stray too far from the path. Don't question too loudly. Don't live too differently. And whatever you do, don't make any more or anyone uncomfortable with your choices. That's the final chain, the one most people never break. You were trained, like all of us, to seek approval, to measure your growth through the eyes of your family, your peers, your culture. Even when you know a certain path is killing your spirit, you hesitate to live it. Not because you are weak, but because you have been conditioned to equate acceptance with safety. And the thought of being judged, rejected, or misunderstood feels like a threat to every survival. But here is what we will do now. If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drama. Let that man step to the music which he hears, however measured for or far away. The question is, are you brave enough to step to your music even when no one else hears it? To live deliberately means to reject automatic living. It means to question everything you inherited, every social norm that never asked for your consent. You will be just another ghost, present but not alive. Living deliberately requires a kind of courage most people never develop. The courage to say, no, I will not live a life of quiet desperation. No, I will not sacrifice my authority for applause or authenticity for applause. No, I will not escape into distraction just to tolerate a reality I did not choose. And yes, people will judge you. You will be called irresponsible, unrealistic, maybe even selfish, or maybe foolish. But none of that matters because they are not the ones who have to wake up inside your life every day. You are. And if that life is not yours, then no amount of approval will ever fill the void. But when you finally stop asking for permission, something shifts. You begin to feel grounded, clear, alive. You stop needing to escape because your life no longer feels like a cage. You have burned the old script and you are writing your own. That is the freedom you should discover. And it's not reserved for philosophers in the woods. It is for anyone willing to stop running and start living. Now it's your turn. So here is what I want you to do. Go to the comments and tell me one thing you are ready to stop doing just because it is expected of you. One should you are ready to question. One part of the social script you are ready to tear up. Let this be the start, not of another escape, but of a return to yourself. And if this video resonated with you, please subscribe to my channel, share this video with your colleagues, friends, family, and thank you for your time.